Hello everyone, Gomez here from the LAN channel again with more reviews for you this evening. We kind of got a leak of who it was going to be, a certain Bilgewatery fishy lady, but it was all in Spanish, so let's see what the hell it is. Let's get in! Okay, not being somebody who plays legit League of Legends, I don't actually know who she is, but it does look like it's going to be the Bilgewatery, like kind of mermaidy fishy lady. Let's get in. Okay, so Nami? Is Nami how you say it? Okay, I'm going to say it's Nami. I've got no idea how you say her name. So, free mana. They love a good free mana. Free mana, Bilgewater, 2/3. Tune. When you cast a spell, grant +1 to the weakest other ally there isn't. So basically there isn't a mobile. They put this little tiny bit in so that kegs don't get, because obviously keg is an immobile object, to make sure that kegs do not get. That'd be hilarious, wouldn't it? You get like a keg on the board that ends up with like plus however many stats, and it's just like can't do anything. But so when you cast a spell, grant the weakest, which again in a kind of thing with Teemo, like if you can make Teemo be the Fizz. If you can make Fizz be the weakest, like there is actually combos that you could do between those two. And obviously when it comes to spells, we know that Senna, who's recently going to be coming out, also works with spells. So Bilgewater itself has got a number of things that work really well with spells. And you've gained 7+ spell mana this game. So when it says you've gained 7+ spell mana, it means that you've had to have at least got the little free ones up. So not just having mana, having spell mana is actually slightly different than having than having mana, standard mana. So if you were to get her out on say turn 10, then you used your mana consistently the whole way through. Just because you've got 7 mana crystal, 7 mana left, it shouldn't technically count. I think it is literally you've had to have at least stored 7 mana this game. So in the free little spell slot thingamajig, like a little blue thing, you understand. So that looks like that's how she's going to work and how she levels up. So really do with spells, which obviously we already know that Fizz is to do with spells within the same region, and there is actually a lot of really low cost cheap spells as well that can help to buff somebody up as well. So actually looking very nice to begin with. Let's get in. I mean, it looks like we've got a lot of sea creatures. Oh, of course, prank is a spell. Oh, these little but I'm gonna do so many silly things with this. Good old Gangplank. More pranks. Okay. I guess prank can make something, ooh, what were you? So, Tidal Wave. Deal 1 to 2 different randomly targeted enemies and create a crashing wave in your deck. So, this is one of these things, again, like we've seen this a lot recently with obviously when we saw Echo enter the game with his called shot, putting parallel convergence into the deck. So it's another one of those kind of things. So I'm expecting Crushing Wave to do something devastating, but bear in mind, slow speed 3 mana, dealing 1 damage to 2 differently. The important thing to remember is randomly targeted. Exactly the same thing which is on top of what's his face? Why am I not thinking of names right now? Make It Rain. So potentially an Ezreal deck, again, this might get played next. It is targeting 2 separate things. That's 2 separate add-ons for Ezreal. Whether or not that's going to be important, I just thought I'd mention that fact. Good artwork as well. 7 mana, Withering Whale. Okay, so let's see. Boom. Crush. Ooh, I just went to very quick. I do apologize. I mean, we're seeing at the end. I need to stop continuously pausing. I mean, good voice lines. Oh, look how long that animation was. It's like little movies. Also, I keep saying it, but look how long the animation was. Oh, it looked amazing though. It tells a story. She's grabbing the pearl, bringing it up to the surface. So once she levels up, when you cast a spell, grant 2/1 instead of just a +1 to the. So yet again, just every single time you're casting spells, just the fact that you're plussing stats to the weakest unit, which, as I said, Bilgewater has got. Bearing in mind, this is the region which has got Warning Shot, and Warning Shot obviously is like a 0 mana. The fact that you just go boom, 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 throw some Warning Shots at core. If you're doing a deck whereby you're mostly centered around Bilgewater, the Yordle Grifter giving you another Warning Shot as well. Like there's actually like some really good like synergies that can be done. And then if you're running a spell-based deck, obviously Burblefish could get involved. Burblefish gives you a spell. You've got all of the sea things that come with Fizz to begin with, just like they've got mostly a tune or giving you a spell. So yeah, again, there is actually a really nice Nami Fizz deck that can come out of this, and whether or not you're going to focus with this, maybe putting in with P and Z, maybe, so that you've got those ballistic bots. Ballistic bot continuously generating spells, which is again giving. So I can see some actual like really good, like there's different decks that she could work in like really well. And I said and Senna obviously would mean that any kind of like slow speed stuff, you'd be getting those spells out to be able to buff somebody past an attack, potentially like to put them into a trade. I'm loving this. I'm loving her already. Like the different things which are coming into my mind already. It's amazing. I mean, we'll find out what you're doing. Another elusive by the looks of it. Like Zap Sprayfin, another elusive coming in. So that was 2 damage to everyone. What? I mean, I think I just saw 4 damage to everyone, including the enemy Nexus. The wave slowly but surely gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Oh, I'm already loving it. Already loving it. What did that? Was that just the EBB? EBB. I mean, does that stand for something? Does that mean anything to anyone? Because to me, because obviously I haven't come from League, so I don't know if EBB means anything. But deal 2 damage randomly to Fibushi and Aretuza or the enemy Nexus, and create a flow in hand. Which is flow going to be that one whereby it was 4 damage to every, maybe it's randomly targeted 4 damage or the enemy Nexus, because obviously this one is or the enemy Nexus as well, doing 2 damage. So let's have a little look. See what the hell flow is. The animations are so damn good. It's fleeting. So whatever that other card is, it is fleeting 2 mana. Ooh. So it's a heal. I mean, I'm going to end up finding out what the hell all these spells do. Is that a continuously generating spell as well? The Tides of EBB. I've got no idea what the hell EBB is, but... Oh, look at the quick buffs there as well. Oh, I need information. I need intel. Great voice lines as well. Great voice lines. So let's see what these cards are. These because if that's a recurring, so what we've got here is deal 2 damage to randomly things. Create a flow in hand. Flow is heal an ally or your Nexus for 2. Create a this one and flow. So that is which it burst speed going into a fast speed, but they both are fleeting by the looks of it. So this one's just creating that in hand. So if you've got 6 mana, you'll be able to cast all of these. So one of them is 2, which is 2 damage randomly, including potentially a Nexus. This is heal, or what you could do, or your Nexus to give you this in hand. And this one is 2 damage randomly, and also here. So the 6, and bear in mind that those spells, every single time you're casting them, as long as Nami's on the board, you are buffing something like potentially, obviously it depends on whether it's her standard form or a leveled up form. So leveled up form, which standard form is going to be giving like +3 to the weakest, and this one's going to be giving like +6 damage and +3 health to the weakest ones that are going on here. Devastating. I'm loving the design already of this champion. And we still didn't get to see what... there's Crushing Wave. So Crushing Wave was deal 2 damage, deal 2 to 4 differently randomly. Yeah, again, so potentially Ezreal, because of the randomly targeted stuff and the damage that is going in, so that could actually be really helpful with Ezreal, and it creates a Colossal Wave in your deck, and Colossal Wave is deal 4 to all enemies and the enemy nexus. So potentially this kind of Ezreal like might come out of like those cards, but there's looking like there's a really good like Fizz deck that's coming out here. So let's have a look at the other card. So 2 mana, 1/2, which is always a good stat line. I say that, I mean, it's more than 1 cost 2, which is 2/1, but 2 cost. When I'm summoned, summon a random 1 cost follow. So yeah, again, Build are getting more of those cards, which are summon a random 1 cost follower, which we already know that with Taskmaster buffing up 1 cost, you've got like that landmark which buffs up 1, which you get 1 cost, but let's face it, it's more gonna be that. But also with summoning the 1 costs, it's crazy, but it really helps out the potential chance of the new Bandle City landmark, because the new Bandle City landmark is all about summoning units from different regions, and so like all 10 regions. So these cheap ways, because bear in mind that there's also Double Trouble, Jailbreak, there's Petty Officer, like all these cheap ways of summoning 1 cost that could be from different regions could really help out that landmark. And the fact that we're getting another one of these as well is obviously that's quite good on tempo on turn 2 to be getting like 2 things on the board. So we've got another as well, which thing of Fleet Admiral Shelley, who is a 5 mana, which it 3/3, which is elusive with a tune, like yet again, just more elusive with a tune. For every 2 spells you play in a round, grant other allies. Yet again, you're playing a really spell heavy deck and you're running with Nami. Like the idea of the fact that you can buff things up and then buff things up even more so across the board, because you'd be playing that deck with a bunch of cheap spells to be able to get like her ability, but also with Admiral Shelley buffing these things up, and if you were playing Fizz in that deck, you'd have the ability to also rally potentially on the attack with Fizz's spell. So that's going to be quite a devastating elusive deck coming out of Build Draw, isn't it? Like, because Fizz is such you never target Fizz. So Fizz is going to be one of those things which is going to be so annoying to try and deal with in a deck like this, where they are perpetually being buffed as well through different means. So that's something to look forward to. Expect elusive, which actually, this makes a lot more sense why the mini morph, which people have been complaining about, it makes a lot more sense why that's burst speed, because you need more things that can target Fizz, because obviously Hush can target Fizz at fast speed, but you need more target spells to be able to remove, especially if the elusives go wide on this board. Like, you're gonna need something. Like, admittedly it only targets 1 thing, but it depends how buffed up it is with this, but I'm loving this design already. So let's get in and see whether or not there's any more cards on what's his face? Mobilitics. So instantly more cards. These were the ones I believe that were shown throughout seasonals. So let's just very quickly get into these ones that were shown in seasonals. So the Lady of Blood, 4 mana, 2/4. When you discard a non-fleeting unit, create a fleeting copy of it in hand. Which yet again, this is more just like to help towards which it's Scion, just that idea of using that in like a discard deck. So when you discard a non-fleeting unit, you're getting that, because fleeting obviously like discards it after, which like if you don't use it that round. So yet again, it's kind of like to help, because it's all about discarding the power or summoning the power to the ball to be able to level up Scion. So this is just another way of helping that out. So actually just like quite a solid card to go into that kind of, like if you were playing that kind of discardy way of doing things. So and potentially getting the unit as well, because bear in mind, like if you were to discard, say, the what's his face, the one cost ephemeral guy who's like 3/2, which is the Grenadier, the Reborn Grenadier, I believe it's called. The idea of, so if you were to discard that, it summons him to the ball, because I believe he gets summoned upon discard, and then will create another fleeting copy of him in hand. So that's another 1 cost you're just throwing out there for 4/2 damage. So yeah, again, so not a bad card in what we've already seen. We've got this 6 mana 4/6, which is when you pick a card from randomly selected options, create a copy in hand and reduce its copy by so basically this is just another like resource thing whereby for 6 mana it's a little bit of time to get there, but once you play this it means any of your manifest cards are going to be which it costing 1 less, and also like so create a copy in hand and reduce its cost by 1. So you're going to be creating another copy of any spells that you use on manifest. You're going to be creating any invoke spells you'll be getting that as well. You'd be getting, like it says, when I picked from randomly selected options, create a copy. So even predict, anything that you predict should be able to give you another copy, so you'd be putting it to the top of your deck and also getting a copy of it in hand as well that costs 1 less. And potentially this could work on prank, right? Because prank is technically you're getting the random option of 2 things from your opponent's deck that you're pranking, and so technically it does say when you pick a card from a randomly selected option, which that is a randomly selected option, so potentially you could get it from that as well. So that's actually a really good resource card for building those things up, so something to bear in mind when using this. But it is 6 mana to get there, but it will stay on the board for a little bit of that 6 health stat. So then we got the 5 mana Ionian card as well, like Tailcloak, who each round, the first time that you recall a follower, summon an exact ephemeral copy of it. This is one of these cards whereby, so it's the first time every single round. What is important to remember here is it is a follower. So all these decks whereby they're recalling Akshan or recalling their champions, it doesn't mean that they're going to be getting an ephemeral copy of their champions. Only for every follower that has been recalled. Still could be quite powerful depending on what the hell you use it on top of, but it is only for the first time you recall a unit. And because Ionia's got so many different recalls through both spells and also a few that come in with what's his face, the question is, if you use this, because this is the first time you recall, I wonder what order it would do it in if you threw down a solitary monk. I guess it would be, because when you throw something down, does it go from left to right or right to left in terms of the recall pattern? By that, what I mean is, if you threw down a solitary monk, which follower would you get back? That's just a curious thing that I'd have to ask there, but still potentially like a really powerful card to still have something on the board from, because recall's biggest thing has always been it's a loss of tempo, so its ability to be able to put something else on the board, like in its place, is quite powerful. But most of their recall now has actually become quite good, like Homecoming, whereby you're doing it in a trade and stopping the trades and whatnot. So we'll see how that goes. But I'm glad they've limited it down to followers. So next card along here, whoop, is Mirror Mage, which is an 8 mana. I mean, I love the plumage that's going on here. And apparently this is a Yordle, although it's really hard to tell. I mean, I guess it's the back of them as they're presenting themselves in this glorious headwear. So Bandle C, Mirror Mage, when you play a created follower, summon an exact copy. When you play a created spell, cast it again on the same target. So yet again, this is one of these things whereby if you're doing like any form of creation, which there is actually a number of different creation cards within Bandle City itself, but also if you're using this with any other regions and whatnot, like if you were using this, say, in Targon, and you were using any of the invoke spells and getting the invoke spells again, or any of the invoke celestial cards, use them and then getting them to summon again. Like, there's certain powerful things that can be done here. Potentially a Victor deck with a card like this, whereby if you're making created cards anyway, this is then making it more so you're buffing up those augment cards like even more. Like, potentially could be quite a powerful card to play. It is in the late game, not the best stats for an 8 cost, but I guess it's got like it's more about its effect more than its damage that it's going to be producing. So we have to see. I can see some funny moves that could be potentially done with this. I mean, especially like go hard, working on the same target again, like that kind of thing, especially now that Senna is making things happen. So maybe like considering the fact that we already know that people are considering a Senna with what's his face, why am I not being able to say his name right now? Vega, like potentially that matchup with a card like this, making those darknesses going twice, especially once Vega levels and you're throwing that damage in at your opponent's core at fast speed if Senna's on the board. Something like this could be quite powerful, as well as with Go Hard, as I said, if you're running that region combination as well. So we just have to see how this card goes, but I can see some potential things that could happen with it. We already saw all of these spells and Ooh, this one's a new one. So this one on the end here. So a fearsome unit within. Actually, wait. I'm just trying to think. There are fearsome. I mean, there's a few fearsome units within. What's his face? Or like the ones that you summon from the treasures and whatnot. So we've got this. When you cast a spell, give me plus. So it's one of those things. Yet again, potentially whether or not you're using this with Fizz, because when Fizz activates a spell, he goes elusive. So if you're doing it, and this guy's on the board as well, he's getting additional stats. So going up to 4 damage for this round, and being fearsome. I don't know whether or not it's enough, because with that health stat as well, it's not exactly the best. I believe that is actually, or she comes down on free, doesn't she? She was a free cost, wasn't I was going to say. Whether or not this one sees play, I don't 100% know, but it's definitely one of those kind of cards where it opens up potentially, like, some avenues, maybe. 6 mana, the one next to it, 6 mana, Avatar of the Tides, which is if you would get a mana gem. Instead, refill your spell mana. So if you would get a mana gem, so does that just activate at the beginning of a turn? Because at the beginning of the turn, you would get a mana gem. So if you would get a mana gem, instead, refill your spell mana. When you cast a spell, create in hand a random spell that costs 3 or less and give it fleeting. So it doesn't say within your regions. That's the important thing to remember. It says create in hand a random spell that costs 3 or less. It doesn't say within your regions. So this could potentially create cards from different regions, like further, say from Noxus or whatnot. So potentially quite an interesting thing, but I'm wondering whether or not that means at the beginning of each turn, once you put this down on 6, does it mean that when you would start to go up to 7 mana, instead of that, do you just refill your spell? Like, if this is on the board on 6, do you ever go up to 7 mana? Because it says, if you would get a mana gem, instead refill. So, is that just a massive loss of tempo at that point where you can no longer get any more mana crystals? I want to know how that works, because the way that it's worded makes it sound like if you would get a mana gem, which technically you would do at the start of a round, instead refill your spell mana. So I want to know how that works, but also when you cast a spell, create in hand a fleeting copy. So you just need to make sure if you're using those cheap spells anyway, getting one like this. So there is actually uses for its second bit of the text. Is the first bit of the text that I'm a little bit thinking about. I know that it works towards her level up, like gaining spell mana, but on turn 6, she's dropping on turn 3. Is this going to be, like, crucial? We'll have to find out. But I really want to know how that card works for that reason. So we already saw the Admiral Shelley. This one we didn't see. So the Sandhopper, who is a 3 mana 4/3 with a tune, which again, a tune is just a good thing. It's actually not a bad statted unit as well. Other than a tune, doesn't have any other keywords though. So we just have to see whether or not that ends up getting used. 2 mana next to it. 2 mana Songstress, which is when I'm summoned. If you've cast a spell this round, grant me elusive. See, again, it's one of those things whereby just the elusive damage that could come in. This goes on the board. Say this is on the board with Admiral Shelley, which means that if it's elusive and you play another spell, so as long as you've cast a spell this round, so you play one spell, play this unit. If this is on the board, play another spell, and then boom, this is immediately going up to a 4/3 that's got elusive. So potentially that those different kind of things that you can get out might actually be quite insane for just like such a big elusive board. It's going to be something you're going to have to deal with when it comes to Bilgewater. So we already saw this one. This one we didn't see though. So the Great Mother, who's got magnificently muscular arms. When I'm summoned, create 5 random 6+ spells in your deck and lower them to 3. Whoa! I mean, when I'm summoned, create 5 random 6+ spells in your thing and lower them. So, considering the fact, yet again, that does not say from your regions, it just says 6 random and make them cost 3, like, so and lower their cost to 3. I mean, does that mean let's just say the most craziest thing? When you summon, create 5 random 6+ cost spells in your deck and lower their cost to 3. Does this potentially mean you could have a 3 mana Skies Descend? Like, boom! Like, just wipe out 15 damage to everything on the opponent's side of the board for 3. Does that technically mean that is possible? Because if so, that is stupid and I love it. But it's whether or not that's what, like, that's how I'm reading it. It doesn't say it has to be in the regions that you're in. It is really crazy and stupid, but I love the idea of this card. Like, this is one of those cards where the RMG of like what that could create for costing free. Yes, yes. I mean, I love it. I love it already. That is all the cards. That is all the cards. But I would love to hear what you think. So please let me know down in the comment section down below what you think of the new cards, or you can get on the Discord where today is your last chance to get involved with the custom card contest. So if you've got any ideas, get involved. Post them on the Discord and you could be in for some small cash prizes and whatnot, but that's just up to you. Do not feel forced. Obviously, shameless plug time, Twitch, Twitter and Instagram. If you want to catch me over on Twitch, you can catch me on Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays and Thursdays, as well as I said, like just catching the action live. If you enjoyed yourself at any point, why not consider hitting that subscribe button? But do not feel forced. I'm loving these cards. I can't wait to get a hold of them and start creating with them. And I hope you have a great day, afternoon, or whatever it is to you. Until next time, goodbye. From fashion brilliance that could save me. Save me! That doesn't save me. Okay. Say anything from you. Save me. That doesn't save me! Okay. Get rid of this and get rid of this. Find something that can save me.